My name is Anna Silk. For 6 seasons, I played Bo on the hit TV series Lost Girl.
And my name is Rachel Skarsten. For 3 seasons, I played Tamsin.
Welcome to the Lost Girl Rewatch Podcast,
a show where we will look at all the episodes, share some behind-the-scenes stories,
and chat with some very special guests.
On the show, our relationship was sometimes rocky.
But in life, our friendship is rock solid.
We are so glad you are here to join us for this trip down memory lane.
We love that the family is back together again. See the moon rise up. Hello, everybody. Episode 11.
I realized as we were coming into this that we hadn't figured out who was going to say hi.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, hello.
I was like, is she going to do it? I don't want to have one of those moments where we both start talking. Well, welcome to episode 11, everyone, of the Lost Girl Rewatch Podcast.
The season 2 finale.
Yeah, covering episodes 21 and 22. Oof. It's very exciting. I can't believe we've made it to the end of it. It's probably how you felt when you were filming.
I was out of my mind at this point in filming. I remember being like, is it day? Is it night? Hello, lamppost. Hello, puddle. Like just normal things I'd see. And I'd be like, what? I'm coming out into the world again. It was like, because we filmed in so many dark places towards the end, like literally just dark, dungeony type places.
And 22 is a long haul. Like
it's a long haul. It was 10 and a half months of filming. Yeah. But it was fantastic. You know, it was the first time I'd had that experience. And even though we were, you know how you reach a place of burnout and then you kind of crash, but then you like come out of the ashes and then like everyone's a bit of a weirdo.
Like, yeah, you're like in a coma, but it's like sleepwalking.
It is. But then everyone becomes a bit of a weirdo and it becomes fun again. Yeah. So that's kind of where we were at this point. And it's funny to watch because I could there was so much crammed into these last 2 episodes. I mean, so much. It's like there's so much talking.
Blood, people lying, people dying.
People just like so much information that we have to like get across and so many funny jokes and just so much happening. So episode 21 was called Into the Dark. Emily Andras wrote it and it was directed by John Fawcett. I remember being so excited that John Fawcett was back. And at the beginning of this episode, the fiddler that's in the bar that's playing at Kiara's wake, that was Ashley McIsaac, who is a very famous Canadian fiddler. Like he's played with like Paul Simon and people like that.
That's kind of cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's amazing. Like he used to be on stage like with like an electric fiddle and like a kilt. Like he's badass. And I have a little Ashley McIsaac story, a real life Ashley. Well, he was on the show, but before that, when I was
real life, you say?
Real life, not pretend life, I don't know how old I was. I was probably 24, let's say 23. And he was playing at a middle school. And for some reason I went, I don't know why. So it was me and a whole bunch of middle schoolers. And everyone was going up to meet him after and get his autograph. So I waited in this like clump of teenage girls. And he's like drawing on his face and making everyone laugh. And he gets to me and he's like, woo-hoo-hoo, like, what's your name? And I was like, I'm thinking like, I'm a grown up, but I thought I can't get into all this. So I just went, Anna. And he like signed my thing and I was like, thanks. Like I just pretended I was a middle schooler and somehow I was able to get away with it. But
I feel like that's the only thing that's like one of the few times that it's better to be a woman, you know, because if you were a dude, there's no way you would have made it to the front of that line. Like someone would have taken you out so fast.
So fast. So fast.
So creepy.
I know.
You were in line with all the high schoolers.
I know. But I was just blended. I was blended in and meeting Ashley McIsaac. And then he played on Lost Girl. So he opens up this episode and it was really cool to have him there. I remember he's magnetic. The way he plays, it's incredible. So we were very lucky. So yeah, it opens on Kiara's wake, sadly. And this is the point in the story where Bo is really starting to ask a lot of questions of Trick. You know, it's in our blood. Like she kind of knows that there's some kind of connection. So she's onto it. And in this episode, we learned she says to Trick, like, you're my father, aren't you? And he says, no, I'm your grandfather. And then we get into the history of that. So Bo learns all of that, which is huge for her to learn. I love that the Nain Rouge was back. That little girl was amazing. And so she was back and badass as ever. And I love in this episode, we get Vex back. So then Vex comes in. He's sort of like Bo and Kenzie's roommate that they don't want. And Paul is so, yeah. I mean, Paul as Vex is just, it's almost like he just, every time he's on screen, he's like blazing this sort of separate, I don't know what it is. Like he's relentlessly Vex.
He was born to play that part.
Yeah, he was. And it's relentless. Like there's no relenting. And I love that. Right? Like I just love it.
Vex is basically just Paul's personality, like amped up 100, you know, like they really are so one and the same in many ways. I mean, less some of the,
I mean, is that true of every character on our show? Do you think? In a way, but Vex in particular for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think everyone, when you get a part,
it's a part of you.
Some of acting, even if it's a tiny little experience, you just sort of amplify it for that character. But I think the thing is, a lot of the other characters on the show, I feel like many people could amplify parts of their character and have played them well. I think that other actresses could have played Tamsin and done a great job and very much been Tamsin. But Vex is the one character on the show I'm like, I don't know. Paul, like, could it?
It's
do I know any actor who could have done that better? A Canadian actor? I don't think so.
No,
he really killed it.
He killed it.
Really him.
So he killed it, and it was so good to have him back. And this is also a real hero moment for Kenzie, because Kenzie, they go to the Norn. Dyson wants his love back. Kenzie goes back with a chainsaw and starts chopping down that tree, which is a really big moment. And I think I wasn't in that scene, but I was there that day, and I can remember walking through the studio, and all I could smell was like chainsaw gas fluid. It was strong, but anyway, I love. Let's see here.
I kind of wish Val had been like more. This is maybe. Wait, is it this episode or
no? I think she comes in the next one. Val comes in the next one. Yeah. Okay. But in terms of Bo and Lauren at this point in the story, I love the scene. Bo comes in. She's been injured by the Red Caps, this fight that she's had, and she comes into Lauren and she's like, Lauren, I need, and Lauren's like, to heal? Okay, sure. Like, just starts to take off her clothes. And Zoe is so charming and cute in this moment. And Bo's like, no, easy lady. We're working towards this relationship again, but it was just a very cute, charming moment for Zoe. And it was this whole thing of, they have that exchange of you take my breath away. And I have signed a lot of headshots with you take my breath away or breathless, because people were really drawn to that scene. So that was in that episode. I love, oh my gosh. I mean, this is where Emmanuel
Wait, can I just pause you? I love how both of us sign a lot of headshots from a scene with Zoe. Yeah. But yours is you take my breath away, and mine is eat a sack of tits. That just speaks volumes.
It speaks volumes. It really does. It actually couldn't be more perfect, frankly.
Yeah, continue.
And both with Zoe, yes. Yeah. This is Emmanuel's she's got the seduction scene, which is amazing. So she comes, first of all, Emmanuel's figure is ridiculous, and she's such a beautiful woman. And so she comes in and she's seducing this guest star. I mean, I would love to talk to that guest star, because he came in and got to be seduced by Emmanuel Vaugier, and then had like this scene with her. Anyway, she comes in and she's being all seductive, and she says something like, the pepper spray's in the drawer, or something like, it's just like this funny line.
There's another character. Maybe, I don't know. Emmanuel. I feel like, could someone else have played her character? I don't know. As well as her. Maybe not.
I don't think so. And I actually remember when they were initially looking for that character.
Really?
The very beginning. Well, I auditioned with a bunch of Morrigans in LA.
Really?
They came in to read with me when they were trying to cast that. I had already been cast. Chris had been cast. And then Ksenia and Zoe had been cast, and then and Rick and Clay, and then they were looking for the leader of the Dark. And originally they had some, because you know how they put in The Office, they'll have like inspiration photos or like ideas of the type that they want. And the Morgan originally was much older, much older, like had real seniority in terms of her age as well.
No.
But I think it was very cool that they got this very Cruella de Vil woman who also, I mean, it's not even really about age. Emmanuel's just, I feel like Emmanuel as the Morgan is like a broad. She was like a broad when she was like 7.
Yeah.
She had vodka in her freezer at 7.
She had like little bottles of Tito's.
Yeah, exactly. And she was like rocking it out then. I don't know. But so yeah, she feels totally, and she was so amazing in this part. Yeah. And this scene is epic for her. And she has talked about it at cons because this is the one where she's like seducing and then she's down to her bra and underwear and like dancing around and then starts doing, you can't touch this because Vex is controlling her. So it's that amazing scene where it's Emmanuel, obviously, that's doing all that ridiculous dancing, nude. Well, not nude, but mostly nude. And I just think I would love to talk to that guest star and find out how he felt that day. So that happens, and then Beau shows up to seduce the Morgan, which is another scene I love with Emmanuel, which was really fun to do. It had, and I show up in a trench coat, which I still have that trench coat actually. And I have random things.
So much stuff.
I do. I know. Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit of a hoarder.
So lovely.
No, it's nice to have. I do have that trench coat still, but Beau and Ebony are now kind of making out a little bit, like not crazy, but like there was so much put into this episode.
Is there anyone on the show you didn't make out with?
I don't know, but I will. I don't know. Well, Trick.
Like any of the main characters?
I didn't make out with Trick, and I didn't. I licked Hale's face.
That counts.
Okay, well then, yeah.
Well, does it count? I don't know.
I mean, but Emmanuel's reaction to Beau's powers, I've never had anyone react the way Emmanuel did, which was really interesting.
When she did it for the first time on set, were you like surprised? Like, did she do it that way every take?
Yeah, because like most people that react, like, so when a guest star would come on to react to Beau's powers, they'd be like, okay, so like, because they don't know the whole show. They're just like, okay, so like, what is this feeling? And I'm like, it's kind of sexual. Like you got to have a sexual reaction, but also like euphoria, whatever your interpretation of that is. And people would come up with sort of varying degrees of that. And, but most people took it as kind of like a seductive trance that they would be in. Where Emmanuel, I use my powers, and she's like, meow. Like it's almost like she's almost like a dog going like meow, but loving it. It was just so perfect. It was so perfect.
It's so good.
It's so good. Yeah, the pepper spray's in the drawer. I think that's what she says to me.
Kind of like him in real life.
It is exactly. Yeah. She's like, she knows what she wants. She says what she wants.
Yeah.
There's no wondering.
No. And there's no airs to her.
No.
She's just, And
she she just works hard as a human.
Yes.
She's like goes after things. And I know she's honestly, I've always been blown away by her.
Episode 11, loving our castmates.
Loving our castmates. Exactly. Beau has a lot of speeches in these episodes. There's a lot of like, okay, guys, a lot of welling up and speeches in these 2 episodes.
Do you remember that being overwhelming at the end, like learning those? Or had you kind of gotten into the vibe of... I think I spoke more like Beau in that 10 and a half months than like me, So at that point, you read it once and you're like, okay, got it. Like it's just so... You're in that rhythm. But we were all kind of emotional. It was the end of season 2. At this point, though, we knew we were coming back for season 3. It had been confirmed. So we weren't like wondering, oh gosh, this is the last time we're going to see each other like this. Mm-hmm. So that we knew we were coming back, which was really nice.
Anyway, so then we lead into, Bo's giving a speech. She's got a plan. She's the champion. We're going after the Garuda, all that stuff. We get into episode 22, Flesh and Blood, written by Alan McCullough and directed by Steve DeMarco, who I remember that. I mean, Paul talks about that at conventions. It was when Steve there was like a prop, like wheelchair, and he had a monitor.
Oh yeah, Paul talks about that a lot.
To it, and he wore like an army helmet. Like he was ready to go. He was ready to go.
He's such a true artist.
He is. I love people who really just know who they are.
Yeah.
Or they're willing to constantly see who they are in every moment. Yeah.
But also not afraid to like lean into their freaky,
Yeah.
And their weirdness or their eccentricities, or it's so, because everybody has them, but I think a lot of some people have more of them, but some people just get very good at not even hiding them. It's just like a secondary part of your character. But I just love people like Steve. I mean, who does that? Who shows up in an army helmet to work? Who does that? It's great.
Well, if a soldier. Maybe they should. I mean, they really need one.
Right. Yes.
But also, like, did you feel when you were growing up, did you feel like, was it easy for you to like be your own person? Did you feel pressure to fit in or conform, or what or a mix of both at different times? I
think, can you hear my son crying in the background?
No.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, don't tell me you tried to fit in. You're your own woman, Mama.
You are.
Yeah. Also, where are you?
Yeah. There is someone watching my son for everyone who's listening. I think when I was a really little girl, I never felt the need to fit in. I just was myself. Then I think everyone goes through that phase of being bullied, which happened to me actually after I lost my dad. And at that point, I think I wanted to feel a part of something for a blip. But then also I went to an art school, so everyone was kind of weird and that was celebrated. And I think that was a really good space for me. It wasn't until later, till I got to university, that I felt like I had a phase of time where I just wasn't true to myself.
Right.
But I think everyone goes through that. Did you always feel like you were yourself?
Please.
Really?
No, I never did. I was so, does everyone like me right now? I can't even, no, I'm just kidding. No, I feel like I was so concerned about it that I wish I'd been less concerned about it, because there were so many things I was so curious about as a kid. Cause I was a very imaginative kid. I was drawn to certain things, but I never pursued them because it wasn't what the popular girls at my school, who all had the matching sweatsuits on, were doing. That's the truth.
I also think it is normal for the most part for children to want to conform to one another, like even
it's probably in our nature, like our primal, it keeps you surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did we get on this?
I don't know. Oh, because Steve DeMarco. Okay. So he definitely knew who he was, and he showed up to this episode. Okay. So now we're on a totally different topic. It's a different podcast now. It's, okay. So I love the scenes at this point in the story between Trick and Bo, because now they've got that element of family, because now she knows it's his grandfather, and they're so beautiful. Rick was so great in these scenes, and they're so heartful. Like, we're just full of heart in all of these scenes. And it was really, really nice. Until, Trick goes missing, which is upsetting for the gang. And we've got to go after him, because not only is he Trick, he's also the Blood King. So, and then we've got Raoul back as in his full force of the Garuda. In Rick's episode this season, because you did not host that one with me, but he described Raoul so perfectly. He said, he's like Arizona. I'm like, yeah, he is. He is like Arizona. Like, just like earthy, earthy and like of the, I'm going to say earth again, of the dry, like desert. He's just like the mountainous. Give me other words about Arizona. He's got like a pulse, underground pulse to him.
This is what I'm going to use as the clip for the preview of the episode.
You have to be trying to describe Raul as Arizona as described by Rick. This is really good. Anyway, I thought it was a very good description.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like.
It's perfect. It's perfect. If you met Raul, you would have been like, God, why am I thinking about Arizona? Yeah, Arizona. There's such a lovely scene in this episode too between Bo and Kenzie. Kenzie is so, Ksenia is so good in this scene where Bo says to her, like, if things go south, you have to kill me. And Kenzie promises to kill her. Luckily, it didn't have to go that far. We needed another season. So, and then Val is back, as you mentioned, which was so great to see her come back.
I just feel like Val, I feel like they could have done more with her.
Honestly, I thought she was in more episodes because I felt her presence.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought her back. Maybe they could have brought her back in a later season because at this point she joins the gang. Like she comes in with weapons and she's like, I'm ready to fight with you guys, And
I guess it's a thing in when you have an ensemble cast, there were already a lot of cast members in Lost Girl, there's only so much time in every episode to pay lip service to each character. So the more characters you add, the bigger problem that becomes.
Yeah,
but
you got all these.
She was one character that I would have liked to
Me too.
have more of.
Me too, for sure. But she's great in this episode. And, another big speech from Bo comes with this epic kiss between Bo and Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
It was just one of those, I may never see you again. Let's do this big kiss, which was lovely. Then, people get stabbed. Various things happen.
Blood is exchanged.
Bo fights the Garuda. And then finally... Garuda trick. And then...
No, the Garuda trick's trick. Doesn't he tell him all this stuff?
Yeah, the Garuda trick's trick. Yeah. Which were all great scenes.
Yeah.
And then flashing back to that time. And then I remember then the end. But I just remember the last scene was in that little thing off the bar, that little like vestibule. What's that word? Little nook. Their little drinking nook.
Remember, I had so many like chats in that nook with Chris. Chris and I used to go in that nook when we were
like
filming.
For real or for Tamsin?
Like for real life. And we'd go in that nook and we'd sit there and we'd just have these like epic chats about life. And like, that's probably the most memorable part of all the sets for me.
Yeah.
The minute you said the nook, I was like,
there's something about that nook.
About it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I can vividly remember stories Chris told me in that nook.
Wow. Do tell. We're going to have an episode of stories from the nook. That nook actually was in the real bar that the Del Riata was based on. Because when we shot the pilot, we shot in a real bar in Hamilton. And that had a nook.
I wonder if that bar is still there. Do you remember the name?
No, I don't. I do
That'd
not. It'd be really cool. I know.
There, yeah, because people could go visit it.
Well, next time we find ourselves in Hamilton, we'll go get a pint, sit in the nook. Yeah, we'll sit in the nook. And then in that last scene, Bo looks in the mirror and sees her eyes glow blue.
Glow blue. Mm-hmm.
Yes, which is really cool. I remember filming that. I remember everyone was like, thank God we're done. I believe that was that the last scene we actually filmed? I can't remember. But the crew was exhausted, but very happy, because people had worked extra that season. And we had a really happy cast and crew, and we knew we were coming back. So we were all pretty happy and ready to take, we only got, I think, a 2.5 months hiatus.
Yeah, I can't remember when we started filming season 3.
Which, thank goodness, we will see finally Miss Tamsin
100 episodes later.
boom, we're going to turn the spotlight around onto Miss Tamsin.
But you know, it's a bit of a tease because the first episode I'm not in.
I know. God damn it. Maybe we should like just have you a floating head in that episode, like just somehow place you in there. Like, I don't know how we would do that. I remember
being so excited that I was on the show and that it premiered.
Yeah.
And I made my whole family sit down and watch the episode. And they were like, but you're not in this episode. And I was like, that's not the point.
That's not the point. You gotta watch it.
No one understood what was happening.
Of course.
Except for me. But yeah, we'll figure out something good. Yes. And speaking of which, I guess before we do the voicemails, should we talk a little bit about season 3?
Let's talk about season 3.
Well, this is my dog episode. I heard
this is a noisy episode. So that's my dog, Honey. Oh no, that's Nami. I've got too many dogs. She's barking over there. It's okay. So yes. So there's one thing I want to say about season 2 before we talk about season 3 and before we answer the final voicemails for this season. Because season 2 of this episode was a challenge for us in terms of like, we had so many great guests, like so many great guests. We had Chris come back. We had Paul and Zoe come back and Rick. But then we had Vincent Walsh, who was like, so don't you want to go to the bar in Hamilton with him and have a drink in the Nook?
Yes.
Oh,
that was such a fun that actually didn't even feel like you were recording an episode. Just
I know. He's one of those people that can just, he holds you.
Yeah.
You know, he's got this energy that holds you, which is so nice. And Michael Cram was so nice for me to talk to from the Body Swat episode. He's such a lovely person and just
Kat's episode.
And Kat, I know, who has since had her baby. She put it on Instagram, which is so sweet. So congratulations to Kat. We had Erica, who was wonderful. Yes. Nami loved Erica, and the lovely Aaron Ashmore, who we had last week, who was so great. But the tricky part about this season, you guys, is that
aside from having regular sound in our podcast,
besides dogs barking, Nami, shh, get into your bed. She'll do it. Watch, she'll do it. She won't do it. I may have to get you to sing for me for a moment. Hang on 1 second, Rachel.
This is real life. Oh, wow. Actually, it's such a beautiful background. So when we started this podcast, I don't know if you guys can see on the videos, but Anna was having construction done. So it was always just a tarp when we do anything. And
sorry, everybody.
No, I'm saying look how nice your background is.
I know.
It's so gorgeous out there now. Remember when there was just a tarp?
I know. It's beautiful. And look, everything's growing.
I know.
So
anyway, not the point.
So the point is this. Season 2 of this podcast was challenging because with these guest stars on, I forgot to mention Lena. We had Lena on too, who was so lovely. And I loved talking to her. I've thought about that conversation a lot, actually. But most of these characters we had on had guest arcs on the show. And to everyone listening, when you have characters on like that, they're not necessarily in consecutive episodes. They might come in like 2, 6, and 9 or something like that. So it makes it very hard to get episode specific when we broke it up the way that we did. So it made it a little bit challenging for us. I think we handled it. I think we did a great job, and I'm really proud of this season.
I think we did. I'm just looking up I can't even remember how many seasons there are episodes. We did 13 next season.
In season 3, yes. We did 13. Yeah. So season 3, let's talk about season 3.
So
of the pod.
3, we are not going to be taking such a long hiatus.
That's right.
The pod. We are going to be coming back to all your devices, wherever you listen to us or watch us, much sooner than before. I think we were just a little overwhelmed by season 2, and it took us a long time.
I know. And there was a lot of life happening in between. And
I had a child. So
you grew a human, and
it's a small thing.
It's tiny.
So yes, we're going to be coming back at you very shortly. I will obviously be continuing to co-host the episodes with Anna.
Yay! Because you're in every episode but one.
I'm in every episode but one.
I know.
And
I can't wait, actually, to see some Tamsin. I cannot wait. Anyway, go ahead.
And we're also going to be changing Patreon ever so slightly, because we're always trying to come up with, we're so grateful for everyone who supports us on Patreon, and we want to make sure that you feel valued. And so we'll continue to release the videos of the pod on Patreon for you to see, but we are also going to add some, we haven't come up with a name for it yet, like coffee time, tequila time.
Nook, coffee in the nook.
In the nook.
Nook. Notes. I don't know. That's true. That's true. That's like that. That's not nook. We'll do better. We're, those are initial ideas. Yeah.
If you have a name, maybe make a comment of
please do. What can we call it?
We're going to be live. So Anna and I are going to be there. We're going to hang out. We're going to do some live chats with Patreon members. So if you want to be a part of that, oh, there we go. Yet another thing making noise that's not the podcast. If you want to be a part of that and you are not a member of Patreon, feel free to join Patreon. If you already are, then that's great. We'll see you there. Thank you. So those are some of the differences. If you have any ideas for things that you'd love to see on the pod,
anything you would love to see,
guests you'd love to have on the pod, we are so open to anything that you'd like to do. And we're also just not adverse to changing it up and having, different kind of, ideas for what we do. So, so let us know in the comments.
Ideas. Yeah. Speaking of voices from the fans, should we do some VMs?
Yes.
We're going to still call it VMs. Okay.
Yeah.
So
really pushing it so hard.
I know, but it's like, I just want to get it in there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have,
that's what she said. Or no. That's like my first one ever.
That you've ever said that?
Yeah, I never get it in time. I never connect the dots in time.
You know what? I couldn't connect the dots for years and years, and my husband would make fun of me. And then finally one day, no, those are cool, and I stand by them. What I always wanted to say 6 of one, half dozen of another, right? Like that, just
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that every time I'd go, oh, it's so hot, I just couldn't get it out. I'd be like, it's 6 and a dozen. It just never worked. Because I'd be like, God. And then one time it just rolled out of me, and Seth was like, what? And I'm like, I got it. So
I actually have a question for you, because this is one thing Alex struggles with. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's my husband. He's French. English is his second language. And he always says, but now he's messed it up so many times, I actually don't even know which one's right. Do you say it's like the cherry on the pie or the cherry on the cake?
I think it's the cherry on top.
No, it's on one of
it's on one of those things. Okay.
It's on the pie. Maybe it's the cherry on top.
I mean, if I was to say that a cherry was on anything, it would be on top. The cherry on top, the cherry on the cake. I would say cake. Does he say pie?
Yeah, every time he says it's the cherry on the pie.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't think that's right. Or maybe he says it's on the cake. See, now I don't even know.
No, you don't even know. Oh. Either way, it's adorable. Either way, it's adorable. I love it. All right,
so let's listen to some.
Let's do some voicemail. So our first voicemail, and our second voicemail, and our third voicemail. We have 3 voicemails in a row, my friends, from Amy. And we're going to listen to one at a time and answer them. Amy, you've been such a big supporter of this podcast. We appreciate you. Let's hear.
Hey, Anna, it's Amy. I must know what it was like meeting Anthony Lemke.
Oh.
What was it like him coming on set for the first time? Did you guys screen test together? Because your chemistry with each other is ridiculous. So do tell. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Well, Amy, I'm actually glad you brought him up, because that is the one hole in this season of the podcast. We did not get Anthony on as a guest, but he is incredible. Yes, you can't not have chemistry with Anthony Lemke. That guy, you have to keep up with him. We did chemistry read together. I remember in the office at the production offices, I went upstairs on my lunch break and he was just sitting in there, like just sitting comfortably, script in hand. As soon as I walked in, I was like, oh yeah, this guy. All right. And he was amazing. You really have to keep up with him because he's just a really quick dude. But Anthony and I actually did a movie together many years before that called, I can't remember what it was called, but we were in a movie together.
I'm actually, I muted myself because I was like, my child is so loud.
Oh.
But I'm looking because I think I can't remember a name of something or the timing of something either. So I'm trying to look it up. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You were on a movie with him.
Yes, I was in a movie with him called, oh my God, I can't remember what it's called. I just can't. But it starred Terry Polo. It was in Montreal and he lived in Montreal at the time. And he was on that movie. And he's such a good looking dude. And he's just quick. He has that kind of like Tom Hanks, Robert Downey Jr. quickness to him. And he was really fun to work with. So yes, Amy, I'm glad you asked about him. He was a huge part of season 2. I loved working with him. Actually, my husband had written a short film while I was filming season 2. And then Anthony was the star of that short film. So my husband knows him very well as well. And he's a good dude. You want Anthony Lemke on your show. Anyone out there who's casting a show, you want him. Trust me. So good question, Amy. Okay. Amy's next question.
Hey, Rachel. Hi, Anna. It's Amy. I'm leaving 2 messages because, well, it's too long to leave in one. So, yep, you're welcome. This is just a simple thank you for this year's podcast and wanted to wish you both a wonderful summer with your friends and your families. Rachel, I can't wait to hear about the behind the scenes from you next season. I know there will be lots of stories from your perspective, and I'll be here for all of it. So I'm just saying thank you both for doing this for us fans. You know how much we appreciate it.
That's so sweet.
Thank you, Amy. That's really lovely for you to say. And we love doing it. And for me, it's been a real trip to watch all these episodes because I have not thought about this particular storyline or these episodes in so long. So it's been really actually a gift to me as well. And to do this with you is magic, Rach.
Agreed.
Okay. I have one more voicemail from Miss Amy.
Hey guys, it's Amy. Thank you for an awesome rewatch this year. Have a great summer with your families. And have either one of you ever thought about directing? Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
A resounding no.
A resounding no for me as well.
Yeah, no.
It's people want to do it.
All, so many actors want to direct.
Yeah.
I feel like I understand, and I've had wonderful directors that are actors, but some of it is like, if a director turned around and was like, I'm going to do your job. And like, sometimes I'm like, these directors, they like actors hone their craft for years and years and years. And I don't think just because you're an actor, you can be a good director. It is a hard job because then you're managing everything that's going on set rather than just your own character. But secondly, they have all the same pitfalls as actors do, like having to move around, be away from their families, crazy hours. Their creativity is also dictated by studios and networks and things like that. No interest.
No, I kind of feel the same. And I think, you know how people say like, oh, this person's an actor's director. I don't think you need to have been an actor to be an actor's director. I think you need to have sensitivity to story. And there's so many directors that do Some don't. Some have sensitivity to the visual of it. But so many do. And I don't think but there's so many actors that want to be directors. I am not one of them. If I was to do anything else in this business, I've always thought about writing, but I've never thought about writing scripts. I've thought more about writing novels, just random novels or some kind of, yes, romance. Oh, no. Now there's another dog barking. There's so many noises. But that is a very good question, Amy. Thank you for that question. Okay. So, next one. I don't know who it's from. It looks like it might be from someone named Anna, or it's for me. I'm not sure how this one was labeled, but we'll see.
So this question is for Anna. I'm interested to know more about Bo's makeup routine, like what products she uses, how long does it take to do Bo's makeup, and in general, could you tell us more about the process of getting makeup in the show and maybe give some tips to do such a makeup? Thank you so much for answering.
Anna, you know what you should do? You should do a Bo makeup tutorial.
Oh my God.
We should do Bo and Tamsin makeup tutorial.
Yes.
Because we had very similar makeup. I actually do remember a lot. I mean, I could never do it as well as Linda.
Me neither. I could never glue the lashes on as well as Linda. That's what I would struggle with. We can try. Absolutely. In fact, in these last 2 episodes, I noticed how much I had so much black makeup on my eyes. They were like, my eyeshadow was so dark. But yeah, that's a great question. And so, yes, we can do a tutorial.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do it. Ideas. Oh my gosh. That's ideas. Perfect. And to answer your question briefly, it would take I'd be in the hair makeup trailer for about an hour and a half. Like once they had it down, about an hour and a half, I would say, for hair and makeup. I'd always have to come in with clean hair and they'd put in all my clip-ins because they would, then that way they can style your hair before you get there. And then they clip it in. It also saves your hair a little bit. And then makeup would take the longest. It would take at least an hour for me. It really would. Like there's so many layers to it and so much eye makeup. And
that's, to be honest, pretty typical. I feel like on shows.
Yeah. And sometimes like by the end of the day in real life, the makeup looked so thick and heavy on our faces, but like, then it would light with David Green's lighting. We'd be like, but yeah, it took a chunk of time, and then guys come in and they like decide if they're going to shave their beard or not. And then they leave somehow.
I know.
Unless they want a bit of liner or something. Some guys want that.
I remember Linda, I don't know about for you, but for me, she had this it was like a 3-pack. And it kind of I used to buy them at this place called Shoppers Drug Mart, which
I love Shoppers Drug Mart.
From Canada. Yeah.
Yes.
But from the US, it's like CVS or whatever.
Oh, no. It's better than CVS.
No, I know, it's like a druggstore where you can get
it, but it's just better. Things. It's just better. I really love Shoppers. Okay.
No, I agree. I have my optimum points. None better. But for everyone out there, or like for you in England, it's like Boots. Actually, Boots is amazing.
Boots is amazing.
So it's a 3-pack and there were 3 colors. And I remember it was actually one of the lesser expensive things in Shoppers. And that's one thing Linda she did a really good job of. She would use beautiful makeup, like more expensive makeup, but she knew how to find makeup that didn't necessarily have to be expensive to be good. And I think that's a real mark of a very good professional, because sometimes I'll go and everyone just says everything Chanel, and Chanel's great.
Yes.
But she was able to find like hidden gems of things.
Honestly, the bronzer I used was a Shoppers Drug Mart.
Yeah.
It was great.
And I've used that palette for years in my own life after, because it wasn't expensive and it was really accessible, but it looked beautiful. And she also had the artistry to, she could have taken a crayon and made us look good. So
I know. Linda was incredible.
Yeah.
She was really incredible. She could she just knew how to do beauty makeup so well. Some actors request specific makeup, like a guest star can come in if they're kind of a slightly bigger name or something. They'll be like, I only use Armani, blah, blah, blah. And the makeup artist has to provide that, or they bring their own. That happens sometimes too. But anywho, you really have to wash that makeup off at the end of the night. It takes a lot of scrubbing. But it was worth
especially
it.
around the eyes.
Especially around the eyes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Hi from Ukraine. My name is Anna, and here's my question. Do you think Bo and Lauren will find a way to turn Lauren into a fae, or somehow just do something that she doesn't age and she and Bo can be together forever? Because personally, I have this idea that they could somehow turn Lauren into a vampire, because in this case, their relationship would be just perfect. Like, I mean, Lauren would be able to bite Bo and feed on Bo's blood, and Bo would be able to feed on Lauren's chi to heal and stuff. It would be just a perfect in my opinion. What's your idea on this, and do you think they could come up with something like that for Lauren? Thanks for answering, and sorry for my accent. I love you, girls.
Okay, first of all, don't ever apologize for your accent.
I know, it's so beautiful and charming, and
have an accent in Ukraine, so there you
go. Also, why weren't you in our writer's room or one of our producers? Because that's a great idea. It's a great idea.
I've heard that one before, actually.
No, but I'll tell you, no, it's a great idea. And I love that, an idea of trying to keep Bo and Lauren together for eternity. Yes. One thing that they never wanted to have on Lost Girl, but they had one in season 1 in our pilot, which was episode 8, was a vampire. So because vampires have been everywhere, they wanted to, once they had that vampire in and out, who was amazing, but he was gone. And then they didn't want another vampire on the show. But I do like the way you're thinking about this, Anna. And it is something to think about. And it reminds me that one of the things I did not mention, which is probably the most important part of the end of this season, story-wise, is you really start to see the love triangle starting to build up again between Bo and Lauren and Dyson. Mm-hmm. So they really want to tease that out into season 3. So I mean, we know where they end up, but Lauren is human. So we have to think of, we need an alternate ending where she turns into something immortal. Good question. Okay. Next question is from Carolyn.
Hello, Anna and Rachel. This is Carolyn coming to you from Derby City, Louisville, Kentucky. Just have 2 quick questions. Number 1, have you ever been to Louisville? And if not, would you consider visiting? Also, we always talk about your favorite episodes, but what was your least favorite ones? Thank you for doing this podcast. I love you guys. Thank you.
I have been to Louisville, Kentucky with my brother on one of our American road trips because you knew this, Anna, how my brother and I, it was also oftentimes in the hiatus of Lost Girl. We would drive because we wanted to see every state in the United States. So yeah, I've been there. It's beautiful there. So beautiful. And there's a quality about it that's, I don't know, it's kind of like New Orleans where there's like a soul to that city that you just feel as you enter it. That's how I felt about Louisville, Kentucky.
Did it remind you of Arizona? Just kidding. I'm kidding. I have never been to Louisville, Kentucky. I'm sure it is beautiful. The United States are beautiful. There's so many beautiful states. Mm-hmm. But yes, of course I would come visit. Should I find myself with that opportunity?
But this is a good question. Did you hate any of the episodes? Be honest, because you know what? I'm going to start because when I joined the show, I felt like all I heard about was, and it's no shade to the person who played Garuda, but you guys were like, F the Garuda. Like all of you across the board were like, oh, like we're so tired of that story of that. Like we said the Garuda, like the word the Garuda, like 100,000 times. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, you guys didn't love some of that.
I think the reason that is true. And it's no shade to the man who played the Garuda. He was amazing. But I think what that was about was because we had gotten that extended season and then they were extending that storyline. They were really trying to figure that storyline out. There tended to be a lot of repetition and urgency around that repetition. And so there were times when we just kind of felt like, wait, Garuda, what is, and so we were getting a little bit, not frustrated, just a little aimless with where we were headed with that, just behind the scenes. But I think it played on camera well. It was just challenging to bring every day and really have not feel aimless at times. Were there episodes I didn't like? I think there's episodes that, there's some, in terms of filming, I just remember not loving filming the stripper seals episode. Was that this season? That was this season.
That was this season.
And it's not because the writing or the directing or the incredible guest stars, like it's none of that. There was something about filming it that and it's not even the stripper content. That's fine. Like that's welcome. Strippers welcome. It was just something clunky about filming to me. But when I watched it back this season, it wasn't as crazy as I had remembered.
That's how I felt about the Krampus episode.
Oh, I loved filming that one. And you talk about that one all the time. I know.
I just remember being in that warehouse with like people like on conveyor belts going into, and I was like, what is happening? I just remember it being like, I need this day to be over. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to watch it back and see if I feel the same.
Yeah. Let's see. Was that season 3? I can't honestly. No, it wasn't. It was season 4.
It was season 4.
Yeah. The reason I remember is because I know what dress I wore in that episode because it was a very unbow type of dress. And I knew that I had just had a baby because, when you put on a dress, you've just had a baby, it's going to fit a little differently. And I just remember having that dress on and they had cut it so perfectly for me. And I was so grateful because I was like, oh, thank you so much. I don't have to like feel, self-conscious or whatever. I could show up feeling good. So that's why I remember it was season 4. But thank you, Carolyn. That was a great question. We have one final question from Elizabeth.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Fitzgerald calling from New York. The podcast has been bringing me so much joy, and I think we could all use a little more joy in our lives. So thank you so much for doing this for us every week. Anywho, my question is season 2 specific. I know the season was originally 13 episodes, and then you found out later about the additional 9 episodes. How much of the script did you already have before you found out about the back 9? Did you only have a few episodes or the whole season? And what major or even minor changes did you see to the script, aside from the fact of the additional episodes? Thank you for answering my question, and I hope you have a beautiful day.
That's
a great question. Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Zinger questions.
What kind?
Zingers. They're zingers.
Oh, zinger. I thought you said senior. I'm like, yeah, these are, they're not all seniors.
So clearly directed towards you.
Burn. Oh, you just wait till season 3, Tamsin. Yes, the senior can answer now.
Senior questions.
The senior, they're good questions, is what we're saying.
Zingers.
So Elizabeth,
Zingers.
I can't say that every show works like this, but it's very typical. And Lost Girl certainly did this. We don't have all the episodes when we start filming. Before we start filming a season, we get episode 1.
Yeah, but they've usually mapped out.
They have mapped out and written a lot.
And
that can change, but we don't see that. We just see episode 1 comes out, we get it, we read it, and then there's a ton of rewrites by the next time you read it, and they have different color pages that come to your trailer.
In fact, usually it's very secretive from actors. Like
it's so secretive from actors, they won't tell us anything.
The only time on Lost Girl I had someone tell me was Michael Grazzi. He sat down and told me exactly what was going to happen with Tamsin that season to the best of his knowledge. He was our showrunner in the final seasons. Mm-hmm. And that was I remember sitting there being like, why is he doing this?
Am I being framed? Are you filming me?
Because it was so not how they normally do it.
Yeah, I know. So we don't really know things ahead of time. Like we just know what comes out in the next episode. I mean, we're often reading a day or two before the table read. So, and then we've got to jump into it. And sometimes it's hard to go from one episode to the next mentally because you're like, wait, am I still fighting for, oh, no, I'm doing this now. But in terms of the 9, we had no idea. I mean, I never knew the arc for the whole season ever. Maybe in the final season, because I think Michael Grassi was a bit more open with,
Well, and he was like, what would you like to see your character? And I remember I told him something that, we'll get to when we get there. But and he put it in.
Me too. And we'll get there when we get there too. I had a meeting with him and I came up with some ideas that were so like, just things that I had been floating around in my head. And he put every single one in the season. Like it was so, I was like, wow. Like I was really, it felt like such a sign of such respect for me and for us. Like he is just such a wonderful guy. But we will get there. We've got several seasons to get there. So that is it, Rachel, for season 2 of the Lost Girl Rewatch Podcast. Everyone listening, we thank you so much for being with us this season. We had fun doing it. I'm really proud of the episodes and I'm so grateful to all the guests that we had come on and take this little trip down memory lane with us. I cannot wait to have Tamsin here. And we have to do makeup tutorials. When are we doing that? We're going to,
okay. I've planned it all out of my mind.
Oh my God.
Print out photos of us in Lost Girl.
Right.
And we're going to have the photos and we have to try and match the makeup.
Okay.
And then we'll put a contest on Instagram seeing who did it better.
Oh my God. I'm already sweating. Like I'm sweating.
My original idea was that we did it to each other. But then we'll just look like clowns. I can't do makeup.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, as if I know.
Of dogs, I say that we wrap it up.
It's time to go. And my dogs will be barking soon.
I think between us, we have 12 animals. Well, I have right now 4 animals. I
have 5.
3, you have 5. So we have 8.
That's ridiculous. It's a lot of animals.
In my defense, one of them is a foster.
In my defense, there's no defense. I'm defenseless. I keep getting amazing dogs, but I think we're done. I think we're good. We'll see. But thank you to everybody listening. We will see you in season 3, which we'll, announce soon on socials.
Yes.
And in the meantime, enjoy the beginnings of summer.
Absolutely. And you can listen to all past episodes on Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Season 1 videos are all up on our YouTube page. And season 2 are all up on Patreon. You can join the family there. Guys, thank you very, very much. We love you. And we will see you season 3.
Season 3, baby. All right. Let's
just end it there.
Let's end it here. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Lost Girl Rewatch Podcast, which is produced by Anna Silk, Rachel Skarsten, and Seth Cooperman, with theme music by our very own Blood King, Rick Howland. Please rate, review, and share the Lost Girl Rewatch Podcast. This enables us to grow and continue bringing you exciting new content every week. If you don't already, follow us on Instagram and on our YouTube channel at Lost Girl Rewatch. You can also subscribe to Patreon, where you will get exclusive video access to all of our episodes.